Welcome back. It's the Big Blue Banter New York Giants football podcast. I'm Bill Murray, and this is Groundhog's Day. No, I'm
I
not,
love that.
unfortunately. I'm just Dan Schneier, unfortunately. And I don't, it's a good thing that I don't have to wake up and relive this day again. But it does feel a lot like Groundhog's Day to me, Nick. And, out of everything that was today, as disappointing as it was, I wanted to start the show by just asking you, as we wait for listeners to join us on the live, what was the most surprising thing that happened in today's game in your mind?
That's a good question. There's a lot that we could there's unfortunately a lot that we can go with there. I want to, if I can make an addendum here and change the angle a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
Surprised and severely disappointed. It is that the coaching still seems to be holding the New York Giants back. But at the same time, Dan, we weren't like super surprised. We went into this with some caution. One of the reasons why we took Washington in this game wasn't just because of Andrew Thomas. It was because, at least I felt like Washington was a much more well-coached and prepared football team than the New York Giants. And the Giants just have not proved to any degree that they're well-coached basically since 2022. And I thought, you know what? Let's wait and see it. Let's see if they actually come out and they're a different offense and that the defense can fit the run and that the defense can play zone coverage and not just have gaping voids between the zones in the intermediate and deep portions of the field. And yet again, Cliff Kingsbury toyed with Shane Bowen. Yet again, the Giants looked unprepared, and Washington, they were undisciplined. Washington, they were trying to have the Giants win this football game. They were trying to allow the Giants to do what the Buffalo Bills just did to the Baltimore Ravens. But the Giants are not a good enough football team to pull that off. And their offensive line is just I mean, there's so many different branches from this rotten tree that we can just sprout off at, Dan, and start to have a dialectic and a conversation about how pathetic the New York Giants were today against the Washington Commanders.
And I'm still not hopeful, but I am hoping, Nick, that they can get back on track next week against the Cowboys and win there and just really reframe and reshape the season. It's a must-win situation, in my opinion, for the sake of the Giants season and the sake of us. I don't know how much more I have left in me of this. I got to be honest with you. Like, obviously, we'll continue with the pod. I just mean I don't even know the standpoint I can really articulate, but I'm just feeling so depressed about this team and about this franchise that we are going through this same situation again, where it's 3 seasons in a row of no offensive touchdowns in the first week of the season. A hapless game that was lost by 21-6, but it's only because, as Jayden Daniels said after the game, they were sloppy. The Commanders. Jayden Daniels missed some wide open throws that he would love to have back. They had a tip block punt that we couldn't capitalize on. Great play by Carter, but we couldn't do anything with it, and a few other mistakes by the Commanders.
At halftime, I mean, that was another great play by Abdul Carter, because Abdul Carter was unblocked on that play, Dan, and he did not jump or leave his feet. He was like, I got to keep Jayden framed up. I got to keep him framed up. So he just tempered his rush, forced the throw out the back of the end zone, the intentional grounding, which kept points off the board. That's a great individual effort by our number 3 overall pick, but the Giants can't do anything with it, man. They just continuously shoot themselves in the foot, despite the fact that Washington is trying to help them out, man. It's maddening. It's frustrating. And I understand why you're despondent.
It's tough because, Nick, I asked you what was the most surprising and disappointing thing that happened today, or just what you weren't expecting. Because I think both of us went into this game. Look, without Andrew Thomas, I didn't think we were going to win in the end, but I did think it was going to be competitive. We both predicted it would be a 1-score loss by the Giants. And I actually thought they might be leading for some of this game, and it was a whole different feel type of Giants. It wasn't even close to that. And I don't want to blame this game entirely on Hudson. I really just think there was one huge play at the beginning where Russ would have hit Neighbors on that out route if Hudson didn't blow that play. And then there was a holding call that derailed the drive, but that wasn't really a hold. It was a bad call by the refs, but whatever. We got some calls. I'm not blaming it on that.
Yeah.
But the most surprising and disappointing thing for me was just how bad the coaching is. And I think back to what I said earlier this offseason, maybe Mike Kafka will give us some kind of edge because he was calling a good game for the most part in 2022. And you countered, Nick, at the time, or at one point you countered with, well, that's so true. And overall, the Giants did kind of end with a good red zone offense, like by the numbers at the end of the season. But there was that stretch when they went 3-7-1 where he really struggled with play calling. And, I think back to what we said at the end of last season What did we say? You and I set out to make a list of pros and cons that we broke down on this show about keeping Brian Dable and Joe Schoen. It was a list of pros and cons. And after we went over it, the cons heavily outweighed the pros. We came around to the decision because that's what we do on this show. We have no other option. That's what the Giants gave us. This is what John Mara gave us. This is our life. He is our owner. He will have his guys in the personnel department. We can't change those things. Dable comes back. It's fine. Kafka comes back. We have to move on with it and look for the positives. But that list of cons outweighed the pros. And I look around the NFL, dude, and I think about what just happened today offensively with the Giants. And his excuse is gone. I can no longer sit on this podcast, Nick, and say to you, well, you know what? I can't really judge Dable and Kafka because he's hired Daniel Jones. He had another quarterback in. Russ sucks, to be quite honest. I think he's pretty much cooked. He can't see over the middle of the field. He missed a ton of reads, I thought, today. We'll go over that on the All-22. I thought he was terrible at understanding, feeling pressure, and bailing from pockets. I just don't think he's a good quarterback anymore. That's not the point, though. The point is, Shane Steichen just delivered a game plan where the Colts put up 30-something points with Daniel Jones, who couldn't do anything when he was on this team, save for like one season. Good coaches can create offense for players, especially players like Russell Wilson or Daniel Jones, who are middling quarterbacks for the most part in most people's eyes. There's a difference between a coached game by Dable and Kafka and a coached game by Steichen in this regard, or even just what we watched on Sunday Night Football before we started recording. 80
wow, what a game.
Quarterbacks, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. What are we supposed to do? We're nowhere near that offensively. And it's not like it's one thing. The offensive line sucked today. I'll get into some stats. We'll get into some stats. The offensive line is a disaster. And that's why I think when we went over that list of pros and cons, I'm just as angry right now at keeping Dable as I am at keeping Joe Schoen, who I go back to what I think about. He's a used car salesman, and he met up with a friend of mine this summer who saw him, and we're feeling so good. We're feeling so confident. Look at this offensive line. And you invested the 7th overall pick in Evan Neal, and he's inactive for this game. And your shit situation on the interior offensive line, Runyon, you bring him in. He sucks. He's not good. He's an average player at best. He looked terrible. We can't move the ball. We can't even move the point of attack at all in the run game. JMS is a total bust at this point. Not even just an average center that you drafted at 55 overall and wasted important draft capital. No, this is a guy who shouldn't even be starting in the NFL, and you're stuck with him because the only thing else you have is Schlotman, who may have to play because this guy is so bad, JMS. GVR, he's 35 years old. He's decent. He didn't look good today. Illuminor, good pass protector, can't do anything in the run game. I don't see, at least. I've never seen really good stuff in the run game from him. And then at left tackle, it's James Hudson, because nobody knew, except for I missed this. John Schmelk might have mentioned in the spring, and shout out Schmelk. But apparently the Giants were prepared for Andrew Thomas to miss some of the season. I felt like we didn't really know about that until lately in August, when it's like, all right, he's back at practice. And it's like, oh, wait a second, he's not even close to playing or whatever. And like, he may not be there week 1. The solution is James Hudson. I don't blame Shane as much for that because there's no lift tackles available in free agency. But what he did on this offensive line is a disaster right now. The Neal pick, the JMS, and the Runyon is a disaster right now. And it completely derailed them this game. And so I look at Shane, I look at Dable, and I don't see any hope between these guys. And the problem that I see right now, Nick, is they just drafted Jackson Dart. We're heading down the barrel of a really dire situation here where we may need to fire both of these idiots. And what's going to happen with Dart, who they just drafted? The new regime takes over. They are, okay, we got this guy. I guess we have to like him now, and we'll figure out what to do with him. And maybe he's so good, Dart, I hope this would be a miracle for us, that it won't matter. But this whole situation feels horrible right now.
It does. And how could it not? I mean, we had expectations for this team, right? We had some expectations that this team was going to turn their offense around for a variety of different reasons, and it just was not there. And if you think about Washington's game plan, it was pretty simplistic defensively, right? It's not like they had to blitz all that much. They tempered some of their blitzes, right? But they didn't have to blitz all that much. It was, let's put 2 sets of eyes on Malik Neighbors and have anybody else on the New York Giants beat them. And guess what? Nobody else in the New York Giants could do anything. Darius Slayton was MIA the entire game. Wan'Dale Robinson, he moved the football a little bit, but there are just some times where Wan'Dale Robinson's limitations are just too much to overcome. He has Tyrannosaurus Rex arms. He cannot go up and high point anything because of his short wingspan. And there are just times where he just gets hit and you're just like, I wish, like, it's hard for me to say this sitting in a chair, but you're just like, I wish you could break that tackle because it was not direct contact. And I know you're a strong guy with a low center of gravity, and he just doesn't. And then Theo Johnson, just abysmal today. Abysmal. We had so much expectations for Theo Johnson. I want to get that breakfast all over my face, throw the egg on my face, because Mike Kafka, look, I understand why he's taking a lot of criticism. He deserves it. The team put up 6 points, but that was a good design, well-designed play when the Giants first initially got in the red zone. It was a play that we saw Mike Kafka run back in 2022 with Daniel Jones and Daniel Bellinger against the Carolina Panthers, and it scored a touchdown. It was an isolation 2v1. Russell Wilson, Theo Johnson in the flat with the lead blocker. Could have easily went for a touchdown if Theo Johnson uses his big frame to lunge over the red zone, or the end zone. But guess what? Theo Johnson can't catch the football. He drops another one. It's just those little sloppy errors are maddening. And execution was also a big reason why the Giants sucked today. But execution is something that is developed through training camp, through great coaching and good coaching. And the Giants are just an undisciplined team who cannot execute. And it's again, very frustrating to see because there's really no one outside of Malik Nabers on this offense who scares anybody or can do anything, because Washington is not the best defense the Giants are going to see. They're a well-coached unit with some savvy veterans who made good plays in this game, but they bullied and beat up the Giants offensive front. The Giants offensive line could not get any push at the point of attack. No push whatsoever. Nothing for Tyrone Tracy Jr., nothing for Cam Scatterbo, and they couldn't pass protect. I'm willing to say this, man. Look, I didn't think the Giants offensive line was nearly as bad last season as we saw. This might have been the worst I've seen the Giants offensive line since the Vikings game last year in week 1.
Easily the worst it's been since the Vikings game.
It was pathetic.
And it's worse when you consider the fact that the Vikings is Brian Flores defense. It's designed to just pressure the shit out of you, and no one looks good against that defense. This is the Commanders defense. Are they improved somewhat? I'm sure. Maybe we'll see. I guess we'll see about that throughout the year. Are they well coached? Yes, I agree with you on that. You're a big Dan Quinn guy. But when Armstrong is ripping off 9 pressures in a game, there's a freaking problem. This is not a great player or even a good player, at least hasn't been. And also, it's not a scheme that's like designed to just destroy you like that, like they did to the Giants. And also on those, like you mentioned, on those run plays where we just can't get a single ounce of push between this interior offensive line is so fucking bad, dude. I can't stand it. What did we do? We're like, well, maybe we'll move Evan Neal in there. We'll start to train him there. I'm Joe Shane. I'm a used car salesman. I'm a snake oil man. And what the hell is this shit, dude? Because it didn't work out. He's inactive. And now it's like, all right, we'll go back to GVR. Great. He's okay. He's a decent player. JMS, Runyon, it's like, oh, look, Runyon, the Packers didn't want him, dude. Why? We're taking guys that the Packers don't even want and weren't considering re-signing, was never good in run blocking at any point in his career, is an okay pass blocker. And we're like, here's our solution at guard, unmatched again. Like, dude, we didn't even provide any competition for any of the interior offensive linemen besides Evan Neal. That was our one point of competition this entire offseason.
Who was a cast-off because he failed that offensive tackle too. So it
and
really
the player.
Yeah, yes, exactly. The competition that was brought in being Evan Neal was just because he failed miserably at playing right tackle, which led to the Giants signing Jermaine Illuminor, who was supposed to play right guard. It's a failure by the Giants organization from a lot of different levels, man. They are on the elevator of failure, bro. They're just failing at a bunch of different levels.
Failure in development, it's a failure in talent evaluation, and it's a failure in allocation of resources by Joe Shane. But I think it all really starts with Shane for me when it comes to the interior offensive line. I think, honestly, Nick, objectively speaking, this may be our biggest oversight in the history of us doing this podcast. The way we considered this offensive line heading into this season. I don't think either of us were, I'm not saying either of us were like, there's going to be a good offensive line, but we thought we had a chance to be an average offensive line. Yeah. We should have really taken a step back and realized Runyon sucks. No offense. Like I don't want to say sucks for these guys. These are professional players. Runyon is an average to below average starter in the NFL. JMS is a disaster at this point. And GVR is a below average to average starter at best. And Illuminor is a one-way player. He's a good pass protector. He's not moving guys in the run game. We're not creating anything in the run game. That was one of the most pathetic offensive line run blocking performances I've ever seen. And I shouldn't even say that because I've seen so many bad performances, dude. But you mentioned it before, the weapons thing. I don't want to push back on that, Nick, but I think really the issue right now is it starts with offensive line, quarterback, and play calling. Then we can move to weapons. I don't think that it's fine. I get it. There's no.
I think it's collective, man.
I think the weapons is way low for you, and I understand that. For me, the weapons is way low. I think the offensive line is the reason. Dude, we can't generate anything in the run game, so then it's so obvious what we're doing in the pass game. And here's my question for you, Nick. Why is it so hard for us to move the ball at all offensively? I just watched all these teams around the NFL. But no one is having the trouble we're having to just sustain any offense whatsoever.
For all the reasons that you listed, and also one of the primary factors in my mind, and I think in a lot of people's, is that that secondary weapon, because defense
Okay.
is hyper focused on Malik Neighbors. As we saw so much double coverage. And when you can confirm man pre-snap and then confirm it post-snap, and you have a one-on-one matchup and a reliable number 2 who can win that matchup, then you can T. Higgins him, then you can hit him on that little comeback and on those little isolation routes. And you don't have to always rely on Malik Neighbors, or in this case, it was Wan'Dale Robinson for this specific game plan, which he saw a lot of like Mike Sainristil. And Mike Sainristil is a good player. He's going to be able to stay in your hip pocket, right? So
yeah,
like that is a big issue. I understand the offensive line, the play call, all of it. I mean, it's the entire organization at this point. That's a massive problem. And it's unfortunate. And I'm glad you opened the show the way you did. This is Groundhog's Day. And we thought it was going to be different. We thought we turned that Bill Murray movie off, but it's right back right now. And I have to relive this. We got to watch this all 22 and we got to digest this. And it's only week 1. And why would we ever, what inspiration have the Giants provided us to make us believe that is going to change?
No inspiration at all, besides
Nothing.
the defense, which we'll get to in a little bit. I think the defense had bright spots. Obviously, we'll get to the bad too, the run defense. And
I don't trust Shane, but I mean, again, this is
that's my thing. I think the defensive players are good. I think Shane Bowen absolutely sucks. And here's another issue, and that's the point. Like Shane Bowen was an absolute disaster last year. Had no real reason to be brought back. But no one wanted to come coach this team on defense because they were coaching with lame ducks in Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen. So we couldn't attract anyone. I don't even know if we looked for anyone. And what do we have? Well, we have a defensive coordinator who is giving up insane gains on 2nd and long, gives so much space up, like in these situations. Like I never see anything creative from him. I thought, oh, he has his safeties now. How about Javon Holland, dude? He was a nobody out there today. I hope he's not going to be a total bust of a signing when we could add Xavier McKinney on the team re-sign. Like there's another potential disaster looming for us if that doesn't turn around fast. That's just something to think about. Like there's something that's been on my mind since the game. It was like pretty bad game for Javon Holland. I was thinking about that after the game when I was rewatching some stuff.
Isn't it crazy that Zach Ertz dialed the time back to like 2015? Yeah. He's cooking everybody in the Giants secondary, dude.
It's insane. But you're right. Shane Bowen is not a solution, and he's what we have. And there's reason to believe, like if you look at some of the numbers, which we'll pull up in a little bit, the 3 guys, Kayvon, Abdul Carter, and Brian Burns, had really good games today. And it was negated by Shane Bowen, who just can't figure out how to get these guys off the field in these 2nd and long situations. And sometimes in these 3rd and long situations. Then there's always just the shit that, like the Deebo Samuel touchdown, that was such bad collective team defense at the 2nd and 3rd level. And only when I watch the Giants do I see that type of stupid shit working for teams. Like I saw the Bills try to run and it didn't work. But you know, it's like good defenses can diagnose that. Well-coached defenses can take that type of stuff away. The Giants are not a well-coached defense. That could be a major problem for us. I have almost no faith in Shane Bowen at this point. I wouldn't even be surprised if he gets fired mid-season if this continues, because it doesn't look like but our defense has so much talent. Maybe he'll be able to pull out somehow. But man, I don't even know. Let me ask you another question here. Because we talked about the weapons, we talked about the offensive line. What did you think about Russ, man? I was insanely disappointed with Russ.
Yeah, it was not good at all. I mean, it seemed like, and again, all 22 will confirm a lot of this.
I need to change this real quick too.
Yeah, I know everybody's really dying for you to change that. But I need to confirm on the all 22. It seemed like there were open receivers in the red zone that Russell Wilson did not identify. He seemed to be bailing on pockets that seemed pretty fine. And again, to give him his due, the Giants offensive line weren't doing anything to inspire any hope for Russell Wilson. I feel like he was a little tentative back there in the pocket, not trusting the infrastructure in front of him, rightfully. But sometimes you just need to stand tall and throw the football, which he did a few times. And I'll give him credit for that, where he stood tall, threw the football, took a big hit. But there were plays left on the field by Russell Wilson. I don't think he was the primary problem, but again, this is a collective issue. Sometimes you need the quarterback to rise up if the offensive line is really struggling, and maybe the play caller can dial up some quicker short hitters to slow down that pass rush to allow the struggling offensive line to breathe a little bit, but nothing was clicking for the New York Giants at all, including that offensive line, Russell Wilson, Mike Kafka, Brian Daboll, really anything. And then Malik Neighbors was essentially negated by 2 defenders the entire time. There's just nobody else on the Giants to really make them pay. And that was disappointing. Now from we can handle the defense in a little bit, but overall, man, 6 points. 6 points. You got shut out 2 years ago against Dallas. What'd they score last
six against the Vikings.
6 against the Vikings, 12 points collectively.
I have some
3
stats
games to start. That's insane, dude. It's insanely poor.
I have some crazy stats on that I'll get to in a moment. But my take on the question I asked you is, I want to see the all 22 because from what I saw on the broadcast, I thought Russell Wilson was terrible. I thought that he bailed from. See, here's the thing, Nick. I criticized Daniel Jones, and so do you, for his entire career bailing from pockets he shouldn't have bailed from, not staying in pockets, not reading through the defense. I saw that from Russ a few times today. So he's going to get that equal criticism. As I've always said, and I promised, I will criticize any Giants quarterback, no matter who he is, in this regard. And so I want to see the tape. And if it looks that way when we do our all 22 review, he's going to get criticized by me because I don't care if he doesn't trust his other weapons. Get the freaking ball out there because there were times Theo was open and he didn't stay in and missed him. He can't see the middle of the field. It's a massive problem. We're operating without a middle of the field. It's like a Kyler Murray type offense. You can't win. Like, what are we trying to do here when our quarterback isn't using the middle of the field? We have one in-breaking route thrown this entire fucking game.
I know they won't do this.
Dude,
but
just answer that question first. Do you remember one dig route or any kind of intermediate in-breaker that we threw this game?
I wouldn't say intermediate. No, there was a bunch of short stuff, though.
That's insane, dude. We're not using the intermediate middle of the field. How the fuck do you expect to move an offense like that?
Got kids listening there, bub. But yeah,
I know, but I can't handle how bad it was. And throw this share screen up real quick. This is shout out to Monty if you can. So this is what Monty wanted to know, and this is how it looked on the broadcast. On the 3rd and goal, you can obviously see this. Russ potentially had an option here if he reads the outlet to the back, and then here's the other one that he just doesn't throw here. A timing-based route. He needs to get the ball out fast. Here's the thing: like we'll see on the all 22, Nick, and we'll be able to judge it in real time there. But this was the whole idea. The whole idea was our red zone offense was supposed to. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I hate doing screenshot stuff like this.
Screenshot's no good. I get it. But it looked this way in real time. So we can take this down. We're not trying to point to the screenshots, but I'm bringing it up and shout out Monty because it looked like that in real time to me, like he was missing it and not processing it. And the whole thing is, dude, like I thought the whole goal of Russ is like, he's a veteran quarterback. He's going to be able to process and get the ball out on time a lot faster than our last quarterback. He wasn't getting the ball out. A couple times he did. The outside pass to Neighbors was nice. He'd had a couple moments of it, but like in the red zone, it wasn't there.
No, the red zone offense, the timing was so
terrible.
And that wasn't just on Russ. And I thought Russ played poorly too. Like, I do not think Russell Wilson played well, but like the timing from the receiver standpoint as well, along with Russell Wilson, like everything, it was just clunky. It was clunky. And then the Marcus Bowe called was silly. I'm like, why are we trying that right now? Like, what are we doing at this point? The Marcus Bowe, that was a silly play. So overall, I think the offense played like crap there, Dan.
Yeah, I mean the offense. There's some numbers on it that I wanted to get to you. The Giants have the. This is a shout out to WBG84. The Giants have now gone the most consecutive Week 1 games without a TD in NFL history. The last team to do it was the 1925 Chicago Bears. That's how rare this type of thing happens.
100 years ago.
Yeah, 100 years ago, dude. Like, this is the life we live as Giants fans. We have to be part of history, 100-year history. No one fan has had to root for a more pathetic offense in Week 1 than us. And it's the first game of the season. We're hoping for hope, dude. We don't want to live this life where it's like shot down immediately every time.
I know. So I understand a lot of people on Twitter, at least, they're saying that they don't want Dart to play because they don't want Dart to be ruined. And I completely understand that. But there's another suggestion here. If we don't want to move forward with Russell Wilson, if Russell Wilson significantly struggles against Dallas, and that's Jameis Winston. And I don't know if the Giants would do that to Russell Wilson, but you could put Jameis, and I guarantee you might not win.
We'll move the ball.
You'll move the ball a little bit with Jameis, and you can operate the middle of the field.
Maybe more than a little bit.
There'll be anticipatory passes. So if the Giants score like 6 points against Dallas, and it's as pathetic as it was in Week 1, but they don't want to put Jackson Dart out there behind this offensive line, and maybe he's not fully ready, and we want to wait, rely on Jameis Winston. They brought him here for a reason, and it's not just to be Jackson Dart's best friend.
Yeah, I mean, that's on paper. Again, this is like, okay, let's get into this conversation, Nick. I think on paper, that's a great idea. You and I have watched a lot of football. We've evaluated a lot of players. We've watched Jameis Winston tape. We feel in our minds that if we put Jameis Winston in, he can move the ball. But I'm not even sure that paper plays out with this team. That's how bad I think Daboll may be as a coach at this point. And that's the problem, because all these on paper moves we've made that should be generating offense don't. And we look at this pathetic product. It's insane how inept they are at moving the football offensively. It can't, again, for a while, I was just like, I had the crutch. I had the crutch of, it's bad. Daboll's bad. We did our pros and cons list. He really shouldn't be here. He doesn't deserve another year. But he had Jones holding him back, and he had Drew Lock holding him back, and he had DeVito. So can we really judge him? You can't say the same anymore when Russell Wilson goes out and throws 25 touchdowns to the Steelers last year in an Arthur Smith offense. The year before, those 23 was Sean Payton. He's averaging 1.7 or 1.5 touchdowns per game, Nick, over the last 2 years with two different teams, the Steelers and the Broncos. Neither team was an offensive juggernaut by any means. And yet he comes here and he can't throw one touchdown pass in the first week against a middling defense last year. That was actually a bad defense last year. It doesn't add up. It just doesn't make sense. Like on paper, things are supposed to be one way. In reality, Dable has not done anything. Even 2022. We generated some offense. Not really, dude. We sucked on offense. We had great defense. And we were good against a bad schedule. We played the Texans and all these shit ass South teams. Like the reality is Dable's never generated an offense here.
No, he hasn't. And that's a big problem. It's one of the reasons why we were a little bit concerned, but we thought maybe with the changes, it'd be like an impetus, the catalyst to scoring some points and generating some offense to switch back to Mike Havoc. And none of that came to fruition at all in this game plan, man. And again, the execution was off from the player standpoint. It was a collective fail. You reading the chat right now?
I just see Adam Mazers in the chat. Yeah. I think that's him from Fantasy Football Today. It might be Thomas who's using that.
I hope it's Adam. I hope it's Adam, and no knock on Thomas, but Adam, you need to iron your shorts, bro. Like, what's going on? You're posting a picture of yourself and your shorts are just they don't look good, buddy.
That looks like something I would have folded. But you, Adam, you're a neater man than I, so you should have done better with that. But look, the cursing, this is that kind of show. It's just going to happen sometimes. I need to rein it down. But I just can't believe this, Nick. I just can't believe how bad they were offensively, and I don't know anymore what to blame it on other than Brian Dable and Joe Schoen. You could blame it on Russ if you want, and blame it on Kafka if you want. To me, it's a personnel issue on the interior offensive line and obviously at quarterback. And it's Brian Dable and his design is so-called good offense. Like, is it that good? Is he really this offensive genius?
No. I mean, again, he won the 2022 coach of the, but like, again, a lot of that was smoke and mirrors. I'm not trying to devalue it, but he has not shown anything over the last 2 seasons. And then week 1, this is the 3rd consecutive season we're starting like this. This is a massive problem starting with Schoen and Dable. I mean, you can even point up to ownership and some of the personnel decisions that the New York Giants have made if you want to do that as well. But this is an organizational issue right now for the New York Giants. One of the reasons why they are so inept offensively. We can't keep excusing this. How are you going to compete against other teams around the NFL? And I get, man, we'll get to the defense a little bit, how difficult it is to game plan against a guy like Jane Daniels. But guess what? This guy is in your freaking division now. So you need to figure it out. And offensively, against the unit that you're supposed to have some success against, Washington's defense, you look absolutely lost. You're like Michael Fox out there. You're lost as hell.
Right.
And I just don't exactly know what else you can do other than just rip this Band-Aid off and let it bleed out and start anew if this continues this season, which is crazy to say because I thought this leash for Dable and Schoen was going to be much longer. But with performances like this, if this happens week in and week out, it's not. They might get canned mid-season, which I did not think ownership would do, but excusable. And Mara and Tisch, their leash it's run short already. They've already made that clear. They need to see some progress. You have a new quarterback here. And I'm telling you, man, they're probably going to put Jackson Dart in a situation that's not favorable for his future out of desperation eventually, which is not something I necessarily want to happen either. But you can't keep trotting this out there either. If this happens with in week 2 against the Cowboys, and then I just think about like what Dak Prescott's going to do to Shane Bowen's defense next week, and I'm just like I don't even know what to do about that.
Yeah, and that's Shane Bowen. Like that, we look at some of the stuff from this, but we'll get into the defense in a second. I don't want to touch it, but like I blame Bowen for anything that went down to Bowen, and then we don't really have linebackers that I like at the second level. We can't tackle and run defense.
And agreed. And to be fair, I think this would have happened with Micah McFadden, but it is difficult losing Micah McFadden like 5 plays into the
having
game.
Having to play Moose out, yes.
Exactly. That changes a lot of different things with your game planning, but that's no excuse. And I've never been a Shane Bowen guy. After week 2 last year, I called him out on Twitter for his game plan against, and again, they were efficient in week 2 against Washington last year, not allowing them to score touchdowns, but they are so frustrating from the standpoint of surrendering these 2nd and longs and all this. But we can get to the defense a little bit. I know we still want to talk about the offense.
Yeah, you have to talk about the offense, and we will talk defense. But the offense is where we're at right now. Like the Giants would have been competitive today if they were better on offense. The defense wasn't perfect, but it had good plays. It had stops. It was on the field forever, and they had big moments. You talked about Abdul Carter to get 0 points for the half. A few other moments that we can discuss it when we get to the defense. But like when the offense is this inept, I have to wonder because, we mentioned earlier, like Jameis Winston, if they don't feel ready to put Dart in, Jameis will at least move the ball. I'd love to see that experiment. I think Dable and this freaking offense might be and Shane's interior offensive line that he's put together might be the only people that could slow down Jameis Winston. Every single time Jameis Winston has played in his career, he's generated offense. We may not. He may not generate offense here. That's how bad we're coached, and that's how bad the design is, I guess, and the interior offensive line is. It's like we're immediately a one-dimensional team walking into a stadium because we can't generate anything in the run game. And then from that point on, everything looks so clunky and difficult in the passing game. I've never seen an offense look so difficult than when I watched the New York Giants under Dable and Shane.
And look, there's a great barometer on the other side of the football, watching Cliff Kingsbury run the ball. And when you have Jaden Daniels, it helps you for sure. I mean, the Giants had a mobile quarterback before. We didn't see anything close to that on a consistent rate last year or the year before from a rushing attack standpoint. The Giants are like a duo team. In 2022, they ran a lot of counter. So they had a couple plays like that they would change up. But the amount of motions that Washington was throwing at the Giants defense to just gain a little bit of leverage that allowed Jaden Daniels to go into the mesh point and then force guys to step down, and then Jaden would either keep it or those guys would have to stay contained, and then Eckler or Bill would take it. It's just they were toying with the Giants defense from that perspective. Yeah. It's just the Giants offense, they've never had a rushing attack like that. Not even close, not even half. They lack a certain creativity, it seems like.
With these guys, with these two coaches, obviously. Yeah. And you're right. We've had some success running duo. In 2022, we occasionally did some fun stuff with G Lead and we'd talk about in the pod, but it wasn't really what we're seeing with Washington. Washington ran for 222 yards today. It's an insane amount of rushing yards against a team that has Dexter Lawrence's run. By the way, this might have been the worst game I've seen in Dexter Lawrence's career. We'll see it on the tape. Yeah, very surprising. He's like he just doesn't have bad games ever. And maybe Biadasz is better than I thought he was. And we've talked a little bit about Biadasz.
I'm sure Washington had several hands on him. Again,
but he's made plays even in those situations though until now.
Yeah, I want to watch the tape to confirm a lot of this tape talk that we're going over, and we will do that tomorrow.
Just odd to see him. I just not used to seeing Dexter with that kind of game. But just to point to something that I've seen in the chat that I want to talk about, a lot of people, and this is just going to happen anytime the Giants have bad offensive performance, I don't want to say the word excusing, but they're saying, stop blaming Russ. You guys are too much blaming Russ. Like Russ couldn't do anything with this offensive line. But that's not necessarily true. And this is according to Doug Analytics. Russell Wilson had a negative 12.7 completion percentage over expected. That means he's expected to make these completions. That's the 5th worst mark of his entire career since 2016. That's 142 games, the 138th performance. So he had one of his worst performances individually in his last 142 games. Yeah. He had a 49.5% completion percentage, the 6th worst of his entire career in the NFL. This is not normal for him. Like to say that, it's just all the offensive line's fault. It gets me back into the problems of what we've dealt with over the last 5 years. We have to find a way to individually assess quarterback play. It can't just be, the offensive line's bad today. That means the quarterback gets an excuse and nothing matters when those stats are true. He was pressured on 22 of 45 dropbacks, Nick. That's almost 50%. He was 5 of 16 on those. He was horrible when pressured. He had no solutions. And that's not because the offensive line sucks. You can't do anything. It's because this guy can't see over the middle of the field. What the heck? And A, he can't see over the middle of the field. B, he's bailing from pockets he shouldn't be bailing from, which I guess is considered a pressure. But in reality, it's, dude, sit in there for a second and let something develop. Yeah. Or look over the middle. Fine. I don't even know how he can hit over the middle of the field, to be honest, at his height. I guess it's all trust and timing for these types of small quarterbacks because Brees did it. So it's possible. Drew Brees was able to do it. I just don't know at this point if Russ can. But this is not like all the offensive line's fault. This is Russ played really bad today for him. And that's according to the numbers.
I mean, yeah, a lot of people watch this game, and I'm sure they would agree with that as well. It's not just the offensive line, guys. This is a collective failure. Again, top, bottom, as we said. This is Russell Wilson did not play well. I'm sure he'd be one of the first people to say that. Then when you have neighbors being double covered, you need to find solutions. You can't lock onto that. And again, I don't love talking about tape stuff if I haven't seen the all 22, but you can glean enough from the broadcast to understand, hey, the Giants scored 6 freaking points against Washington's defense and couldn't really move the football all that well. The quarterback probably didn't play that great. And I think that's a safe thing to bet on.
Yeah, for sure. And we could just see, I mean, some of those pockets he bailed from and just the lack of using the middle of the field. I just, Nick, we talked. Here's what I'm thinking, man. We talked for the last 5 years about how much, and this is a tape observation, how much it pained us to watch the tape week after week, year over year, and be like, we're not using the outside the numbers area of the field with this quarterback, and we're not using the field side. We were limited. You always talked about this, Nick, and I agreed with you. And we said over and over to our listeners, we feel so limited as an offense and as a analyst when our quarterback can't use an area of the field. We have that again, dude. We're just right back in the same situation. It's a different area of the field. It's the middle of the field, the intermediate middle. But we now have another quarterback who is limited because he can't use all areas of the field. This just can't work, dude. It's just the offensive line has to play better. We can't be one-dimensional. No quarterback can succeed one-dimensionally. I'll agree with that. When you can't generate that little amount of push in the run game, you're just done as an offense. But even if we do have a run game, we're still never going to use the middle of the intermediate of the field with Russ. So it's like, once again, we're just kind of in like a twilight zone where we're rotating to a new area of the field that we're not using from a passing standpoint. I don't want to live that life, dude. I can't live that again.
Yeah, it seems like Russell Wilson had one completion over 10 yards in the middle of the field. And between the hashes, there was, I think, 3 targets. Now the hashes are a lot smaller. It's not college football, but everything's going to be towards the numbers and outside the numbers. We knew that about Russell Wilson. Last year with the Steelers, like I saw some quality throws over the middle of the field from Russell Wilson when he was with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but it's not something that he consistently targets.
Right.
And that's going to be something that defenses are going to be able to exploit and game plan around. So I hoped the Giants would have some plays dialed up for Theo Johnson if defenses are deliberately ignoring the middle of the field, since Theo is 6'6", 270 pounds. But even if that were the case, Theo Johnson needs to learn to catch the damn football and not drop it on these design plays for him. So again, collective loss. They got to turn the page. Quick turnaround against Dallas, since they have an extended week to prepare for this New York Giants team, even if they need it. And again, man, since we're still on the offense before we get to the defense.
Yep.
Jalen Hyatt, why is he on the roster if you're never going to play this guy?
Well, this is another point. Yeah. Like, so Bo Collins got the rep when Neighbors came out of the game, or a couple reps when Neighbors came out for a breather or whatnot. This goes back to the point, though, like the point of when we did our pros and cons podcast last year, Nick, we were pretty effusive in saying they don't deserve to come back, Shane and Dable. Yeah. Then they came back, and we just kind of rolled with the punches. But Shane has been a disaster from a talent evaluation standpoint on the offensive side of the ball. He traded up for Jalen Hyatt, who's a total bust. He used a premium pick on John Michael Schmitz, who's a total bust. And then he drafted Evan Neal, who's a total bust. We spent 2 major like all the things we just talked about for the last 35 minutes. Like, we don't have the weapons because they're double teaming Neighbors. There's okay. We tried to draft a weapon. He missed as bad as he can. Our offensive line can't generate anything in the run game. We spent 2 early capital picks on Neal and JMS to fix the offensive line. And they were total misevaluations and misdevelopment, I guess, is part of the problem too. I don't know, by Joe Shane. Like, I don't care that he had a good 2024 class. Is it even good? No one even, like, Neighbors is the easiest pick in the world. That's not a good pick. That's just staring at any dumbass can pick Neighbors at 6 overall, to be quite frank. He didn't do anything good there. And the rest of the class didn't play that great today, to be honest.
Oh, not today, but Tyrone Tracy Jr., I would say, is a fine.
Tyrone Tracy is a running back, though, dude. You can get James Cook in the 4th round. James Cook, or 3rd or 4th round, was he taken in, James Cook? 3rd round, I think. He's an actual superstar. Tracy's a good player. James Cook's a super running back, so you can get, or a dime a dozen, you get talent throughout the draft. That's not a steal of a pick. That is a good pick, but it's a running back.
I would say Theo Johnson did not play well, but that's someone
that that's possible. But the point
it's being, Drew Phillips. I mean, I think you're being a little tough on the 2024, 2025 class, and it's also
it could be good. It could be good, but it's not a guarantee yet by any means. And to me, it's not a steal of a draft by any, like the great drafts that you see aren't taking a running back in the 5th round and landing that, or hitting on Malik Neighbors. They're like serious, like just look at like Jerry Reese's 07 draft. That's a good example of a defining draft. And he needed a defining draft because he burned Hyatt, he burned a pick on JMS, and he burned Neal. So it's not like he was in a position where he could just have a good draft on paper in 2024. No, he needed to have a save the franchise type draft. And it doesn't look like that today, at least. We didn't say there was not any different. Neighbors was the only difference maker. Phillips had a nice play, obviously, but that's not like we didn't win the game and we're competing in the game. No. And the biggest issues were the players that he drafted. Neal, who wasn't starting, JMS, who sucked, and Hyatt, who couldn't get on the field. These are some of his biggest misses as a GM, to be quite frank.
Yeah, they've. I mean, I think the 2022, 2023, that's indicative of how poor Joe Shane has done
Yeah.
Overall. Now, what I'm saying is 2024, 2025, it's so new at this point, and I think there are potential upside players still within
Maybe.
those classes, but that's kind of independent, or it's not necessarily like even I think the point that you're trying to make or the point that I'm
Right.
trying. I still agree with the overall assessment that Joe Schoen has neglected his job as a general manager and has whiffed on way too many picks and way too many free agent signings. I'm just saying, like, it's 2024 draft class. It's their second year right now. They just played one game as sophomores.
I'm not ruling him out.
Yeah,
I'm just saying
yeah.
it's not the savior. That's all my point that I was trying to make. It was viewed as the savior, right? Like we couldn't even struggle to find pros and cons. We're doing our pros and cons for Schoen. Dable, we at least had some. Schoen, it was like, oh, he's got the 2024 class. That ain't a pro yet. That's a possible pro. It ain't a pro yet.
So you're talking about back in when we did our pros and cons.
Yes,
episode.
when we were deciding should this guy be returned as GM, and the fact is he shouldn't have been. Because another problem that I have with Schoen, when he has his guys like this offseason, he didn't bring in any competition for our interior offensive line whatsoever, and just said, well, we have Evan Neal on the roster, we want to try him at guard, and that's our competition, that's our other plan. That's a terrible decision, dude. Runyon is not good. I know you signed him to a big contract. He's an average player at best. JMS is legit a potential total bust and somebody who may need to be benched at some point. He's playing so bad, he literally may need to be benched for Schlottman. And that's the situation we're in, which is dire because we didn't bring in anyone to compete. We didn't try Bo at center. There's nothing creative going on with him. It's just Schlottman is your guy if this guy sucks, but he was your 55th overall pick or 57th overall pick. He better be good. It's a center at 55. You don't miss on those types of picks. Like only horrible franchises miss taking interior offensive linemen that high.
Yeah. I know you're just venting at this point, but we're all here for the vent. This is the commiseration station. No, it's been rough. I mean, again, at this point, I mean, that page has turned. You and I, we were on the fire, but they weren't. So they were retained, and we were hoping that the plan could be sought through and executed upon, and it was not so far. It's only week one. I don't know.
Yeah, it's only week one.
I don't know if Jackson Dart, like what lies with him. I mean, he would be the crown jewel for Joe Schoen at this point, since he's the quarterback that was drafted in the first round. If he could do anything, he could save the jobs of both these people, but I don't want him to be put in out of desperation. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Especially not to save the jobs of Brian Dable and Joe Schoen and possibly ruin a future asset. That would be a terrible decision overall for the organization. That's all we really care about at this point is positive decisions for this organization. It just seems like it's just been cascading negative decisions that have held this Giants team back. And again, it just puts us right into this same vicious cycle of mediocrity, and that's being kind.
And you're right, Nick. It's week one. I don't want to rule it out just yet, despite the venting. But at the same time, like, for example, I just went over the stats. This was one of Russ's career worst games, potentially an outlier. Russ could play much better next week. But the other side of it is I don't have any confidence his interior offensive line is going to play better at any point this season.
Even better. Even bigger than that, man. Brian Dable. Like, there's no confidence in this coaching
him
staff.
As a coach and a play design. Yes.
And that's every coach on the Giants route. There's nothing that the Giants, from a coaching and then player performance perspective, that tells you that they can compete consistently with teams around the National Football League. That's one of the reasons why so many Giant fans are despondent. That's another reason why so many Giant fans are like, I'm just going to watch Red Zone. I'm not even going to watch the Giants. You know how many fans have told me that? They're like, I'm just going to watch Red Zone. I'm not going to watch Giants. Like over the 2023 and 2024. So that's how pathetic the Giants were.
Yeah.
It's the same infrastructure in place right now with some different parts, with some different building blocks, but the infrastructure is still faulty. That means that the blocks could fall and the house could collapse and everything could be shit again. And then you're sitting on the couch watching Red Zone by October instead of the Giants. And that's not something that I want, obviously.
Yeah, agreed. And, I hope it's not a reality, but it's just hard. I can find hope in the idea that Russ can play better. I can find hope in the idea even that Kafka can call a better game. I don't know how I find hope in this interior offensive line, Nick, and that's a problem for me. Yeah. And when it comes to Jackson Dart, like you mentioned, until this offensive line plays better, I don't want to see him there. And it starts with Andrew Thomas. I don't want him playing a single game for the Giants till Andrew Thomas is back. And once he's back, I'll reevaluate it. And hopefully the interior offensive line is playing better football by that point. This is not going to be their toughest matchup, dude. Like, that's the problem. Like, Washington interior defensive line, it's good, but they got way bigger fish to fry at some point this season. They're going to have to play some seriously interesting defensive looks and like better players on the interior defensive line. Like, this interior offensive line is a nightmare right now, and we should have seen this coming, in my opinion. I blame myself like for not thinking about this harder and being like, those first 6 games before Thomas got hurt, we were good, kind of, but it was all pass protection. We did nothing in the run game, and these guys are just.
We mentioned that pretty
We
extensively.
did mention that.
Now we just didn't. I think we hit like the 0th percentile for this, and I'm not going to lie. I agree. Today. Like this is one of the worst performances I've seen from a Giants
you're right.
in a while.
I hope this will be our worst performance of the year.
I don't say I can't say that with any confidence. I can't say that with any confidence, but maybe relative to the opponent, because there's really no star-studded pass rusher. While Jerron Payne's a good player, Javon Kinlaw was just using like brute strength to dominate the interior, and quickness off the snap. Like GVR to me played really poorly from what I saw, because there were several plays where Javon Kinlaw was in the backfield, and I'm like, what the? And I see 74's back turned to the camera, and
it could fall off at any point for a player of his age, right? And so if it's done, if GVR is just cooked, what's our backup plan? Azudu's hurt. That's who I'd like to see in there, and I don't know if he's healthy. So is it Neal? That's a night. Like, we have done nothing here on the interior offensive line. Joe Schoen has done nothing, and like, I don't know what he could have done. It's a tough league to find offensive linemen in. Like, you would have had to go out and pay Will Fries. Like, and maybe you do that, honestly, instead of a Debo and Holland.
So you're saying Joe Schoen has done nothing since last season into this season?
Yeah, on the interior offensive line.
Yeah. No, and look, we had he's poured assets into the offensive line throughout his tenure.
He missed on all of them.
He missed, and I do think development might have something to do with that as well. But you're right, he's missed, and the entire product it's just unwatchable at certain points. It was unwatchable today, like when the Giants get the ball, and I'm just like, it's just not going away. But there were some drives where they were driving, and then the one drive where it was probably their best drive of the game, James Hudson gets called for, it wasn't a hold at all. Like, again, I'm not blaming the refs, but that just wasn't a hold. And
they missed that call. They missed that call.
Yeah. And that just stalled the drive, and it ended up going into a field goal, because there were a lot of little like passes underneath to Wan'Dale Robinson that were successful on that drive. There was, I think, 2 balls to Malik Neighbors that were completed as well.
It felt a lot like what we've watched the last 6 years with Daniel Jones, to be honest. We have a couple good drives. That's a lot of underneath stuff, stalled out by a penalty.
16 play, 80-yard
right.
16 play drives that take 8 minutes off the clock, and you get 3 points.
I just didn't expect that we would have this feeling a lot like what it's felt like. And I should have, probably, because we didn't do enough to improve the interior offensive line again. And Russell Wilson is not an upgrade on Jones. It might be. I mean, I still think he might be, but it's not clear at this point. And we'll see, because I would be interested if what you suggested earlier does potentially happen, putting Jameis in. I would be very interested to see, because Jameis at no point in his career hasn't been able to move the ball. And if he isn't able to move it here, and we're still as inept on offense, it proves that Brian Daboll is an absolute disaster as a head coach.
I 100% agree. And I want us to advocate for that. I want to give Russ a little bit more time, but if Russ is as inept in week 2, I want to advocate for that as soon as week 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
As soon as week 3, we don't have to keep, that's what we did. That's what we did in the past. We waited a little long. Like, give him 5-6 weeks. No. If it's as inept, that's it. Pull the plug.
Yeah, I agree. I will say Russell Wilson seemed to have success, I think, against Steve Spagnuolo as a coordinator. If I remember correctly, against Denver, like Denver was weirdly competitive against the Chiefs when they were like just absolute trash. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything.
Probably because he plays a lot of man, and Russ has been great in his career against man, but not today, apparently. Like all the career stats that went into this game that we talked about in our preview for Russ, it's like, not when you go to the Giants. Everything, it's your outlier. It's your 5th worst game in the last 145 or whatever I talked about earlier. Everybody has their worst performances with this team. And who does that come back on? It reflects on Shane, and it reflects on the coaching staff mostly.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And again, back to the Jameis point. Look, Jameis Winston, he moves the football, and that's what's holding the Giants back right now, offense. And then he creates explosive plays. So if he can create some explosive plays, that's going to help move the football, which could help the run game. And he's more mobile than Russell Wilson at this point, too. Not by much, but I would say he's more mobile than Russell Wilson as well. So I think that would be the move. That would be look, you have him in the building. Why not do that if you do not want to put Dart out there?
Just yet.
The only reason you wouldn't do that is because you feel some allegiance to Russell Wilson because he's like a captain. But if Russell Wilson's not getting it done, you need to find quick solutions, and you have one now, at least in the building. That was one of the reasons why we wanted Joe Schoen to pour assets into the quarterback room. Is if one's not getting it done, get the other one in there, and they did that. They poured the assets. They have Russ. They have Jameis Winston. So if it happens again, I think that's a serious conversation to have after week 2.
And we still need to talk about the defense, but the other side of it that I just want to wrap up on before we go to the defense is, and we'll get to super chat questions. Thank you to everybody who's sending in super chat questions. If during any of these live shows you want to ask a question, just put it in as a super chat. We'll get to all of them. But the other thing is, like, if we do want to go to Dart, and that's probably more likely than Jameis. Jameis is something that you and I think should potentially happen. Nick, I don't think the Giants are really considering it. If that's the case, I still think it is possible that Dart could maybe just open up this offense a little bit, use the middle of the field, just read it differently, feel the pocket, RPOs. Yeah.
A lot of that.
Understand the pocket a little bit better. It's possible. I'm not saying he's a rookie. I'm not saying this is guaranteed, but I just feel strongly that you can't do it until Thomas is back at left tackle.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really want to throw the kid out there with James Hudson. Right. Real quick too, before we get to the defense, just, is it not like peak New York Giants that Daniel Jones had the game that he had for the Indianapolis Colts? Like,
oh yeah, I really don't want to talk about this, honestly.
No, I know, but I feel like we should at least bring it up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is something to, and again, like, I'm not throwing any shade at Daniel Jones, but like, Daniel Jones has had games like that for the Giants against a stone worse type of defense, like the Miami Dolphins. Like, the Miami Dolphins might be one team that is more pathetic than the New York Giants right now.
They are. The Dolphins are literally, they're going to have to fire McDaniel.
He's going to get canned by at least week 6, I have to imagine. I mean, credit to Daniel Jones for having that performance. He can't have those types of performances before, but it's against other competition where he would struggle. And so I just saw that narrative around that it's Daniel Jones has broken the shackles away from the New York Giants. And I just
and that might be true. We'll see. If he has a full great season with the Colts, then I'll take the L on that.
Whatever. I'll take the L, but still from an anticipatory, like, there was nothing that I've seen through again, I stand by.
The tape was terrible. It wasn't just the offensive line and all the coaching. He wasn't good with the Giants. I think it's pretty objectively obvious if you just watch the tape and looked at the raw and advanced sets. We don't need to go back into that. Point being, like, Shane Steichen was able to generate offense with this guy. And I watched some of those throws, dude. They were throws I never saw him make with Brian Daboll. Never saw him make outside the number throws. One to A.D. Mitchell, one to Pierce or somebody else. I don't remember. Yeah. And there was one on the left sideline too that was insane. It was like a back shoulder outside the number throw with a safety coming over. I was like, this is just something. So like at that point, it's like, Shane Steichen figured out how to make this guy functional as a passer. Why was Brian Daboll never able to do it? And why is Russell Wilson looking like he's potentially regressing? And today, Aaron Rodgers looked great out there, I thought, through 4 touchdown passes. I don't know. That's my point. Like, if we had signed him and he decided to come here, he probably would have looked like shit today, because everyone that Daboll touches at quarterback has looked bad besides DeVito for a 3-game stretch, and Tyrod a little bit.
Yeah, I would say Tyrod as well. Like, look, I'm not full. Like, I don't want to give like any flowers to Brian Daboll right now. Like, I'm down on him. I am sour on him. I'm not quite to the point where I'm like, every quarterback he touches, he ruins. Like, I'm not there yet, because it's very plausible that Russell Wilson is cooked.
It might be on him. Yeah.
And that's not excusing Daboll, because I still do not believe Daboll is a good coach, and he has not shown that since 2022. I think both of those things can coexist. But I'm also not of the mindset that it's that Brian Daboll is also holding all these guys back either.
No, I shouldn't say that. I don't want to.
I know you don't think that either.
I mean more that he's not accentuating them, and for example, what Shane Steichen was able to do with Jones today was phenomenal. It's against Miami.
3 turnovers. I mean, I don't want to crap on like there was like Miami Dolphins are an absolute dumpster.
A disaster.
Yeah.
And we'll check back in like a few weeks, right? Like they play the Titans next, or they play the Broncos next week. Like, okay, if he dominates the Broncos, dude, then it's like, holy shit, what is my life coming to?
But that performance reminded me of week 3 in 2019, baby, where he came out and he was balling.
Yeah, it was a lot like the Tampa game or the Vikings game. And like, he hasn't thrown for anything close to that since that time, basically, since that Vikings game. It was crazy. I think he threw for 280. Look, if he dominates the Broncos, then I'm really mad at Brian Daboll, and I'm mad at myself for not, I guess, seeing what we should have seen in this guy or whatever. But like, point being, let's move on past that.
Let's calm this stream down a little bit and talk about Shane Bowen, guys.
Well, yeah, that's the big problem, because like, so here's some stats.
Can we fire these people? No.
What's that from?
It's John McAfee.
That's John McAfee. Yeah. John McAfee, the antivirus guy or the virus guy?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Can we fire these people? No.
I don't even know what that's from, but what he would be saying that from. But let's talk about Shane Bowen today, and what happened with the Giants defense. So there were some positives to talk about with the Giants defense, which we're going to get to. But when the Giants, here's a stat from Doug Analytics that I think really encapsulates Shane Bowen and his inability to do anything as a coordinator. When the Giants rushed 4 or fewer, Jaden Daniels went 16 of 21 for 204 and scrambled for a TD. When the Giants actually blitzed, Daniels went 3 of 9 for 29 yards with a 43.3 pass rating. Why aren't you blitzing more? Why is every game plan the same? With Wink, we would have these unique game plans, different to every quarterback. It would be, I go into each week and I can come up with something interesting. And I watched Wink the other night. I thought he did a decent job against Oklahoma, honestly. And I came up with some big stops and key moments. They got killed, and Mateer did a good job. But point being, it was a different game plan for every quarterback. And Shane Bowen was having success today when he blitzed, but he just didn't blitz a lot. And he just rushed 4 a lot, and it wasn't working against Jaden Daniels. It may work sometimes for us with this pass rush, but it wasn't working against Jaden Daniels, and he just stuck with what he did. And then the second down stuff is just absolutely insane. So from a second down standpoint, I think I had this stat somewhere. I'm trying to find it now. It was I think Bobby Skinner.
The Giants on 10 different instances had the Commanders on 2nd and 10 or longer, and the Commanders averaged 15 yards per play on those plays. That's from Justin Pennick. Shout out Justin. Yeah.
And that's a nightmare, dude. As a fan, when you're watching that, you get this team in 2nd and 15, a 2nd and 17, 2nd and 19. You expect to get off the field, and we just never got off the field.
No, dude, it was almost to the point where I'm like, hey, let's get them to 3rd and 2, because if it's 2nd and 18, like I would rather it just be like a first, hold them 1st and 10, get 2 yards, 3 yards, and then set up a 3rd and manageable. Because anytime I was like, oh, the Giants, Washington committed a penalty. Okay, it's 2nd and 20. Oh, we're in a great spot. It was 15 yards, 18 yards. It was just this is terrible. What's going on? It's the missed tackles. The middle of the field is wide open. The linebackers are not gaining enough depth. It seems like when the Giants roll out too high, the 2 high shells we talked a lot about over the offseason, whenever they do that, it's like they're too high, they fan out, and then there's just a massive gap between the safeties and the linebackers. To me, it really did seem like it was 2 players in the middle of the field between the numbers. And it was just Jaden Daniels easily just picking apart anything the Giants attempted to do from a defensive zone standpoint. And then whenever it was man coverage, it was we're going to run a deep horizontal cross and target that deep horizontal cross every single time. And most of the times the Giants would surrender that catch, or at least the receiver would be in a position to catch the football that Jaden Daniels delivered well, but it was dropped because there were 3 or 4 drops by Washington. It was a terrible performance from that perspective. Now, with that said, the Giants defense kept the Giants in the football game still. Now, there were a lot of Washington mistakes because of that. Again, Washington was very sloppy in this game, but the Giants were able to force, I think, 5 punts at least, right? So they were giving the offense opportunities. The blocked punt by Abdul Carter, that's an excellent individual effort. If there's anything positive to take away, Dan, from this game, it's Abdul Carter looked great with the tasks that he was asked to perform. And he was playing quarterback spy because they had to contain Jaden Daniels, and he was rushing as well, and he looked good in those reps too. But overall, man, this is it's not as bad as the offense, but it's not great either. I see a narrative on Twitter. People, the defense wasn't that bad. I was I thought the defense there was a lot of warts there as well, dude.
I think there were warts there, but I think a lot of them were Shane Bowen related and run defense related, which we can get to now because there's another stat that just boggled my mind. The Commanders had, this is Bobby Skinner put this one out there. The Commanders had successful runs on 18 to 25 attempts. 72% of the time, he said the highest success rate in 2024 was Bijan Robinson at 60%. So that just shows you how much of an outlier that was. We could not stop their run game at all. And it was just we had, go ahead.
It was in a variety of ways, right? It's a very diverse rushing attack. Again, I love what Cliff Kingsbury does from a schemes perspective when it comes to running the football, but they could hit the A gap if they wanted to. They could do counter, power, puller, whatever, misdirections, zone read, basic inside zone, whatever they were throwing at the Giants really didn't have an answer for it. They could run right at Roy Robertson Harris. He was going to get uprooted from his spot. They could hit the edge. Giants couldn't contain. Whether it was the edge rusher taking on the double pullers when they ran GT counter, they wouldn't have the secondary player, that secondary force player, replace and then force. They would never do that. Cordell Flott would go inside, and then I thought Flott had a terrible game, even though he had that one nice PBU in the beginning. But they were targeting him early until Micah McFadden went out, and they were like, "Oh, let's just isolate Micah McFadden or Darius Mulatau against Zach Ertz." And it's just they never seemed to have an answer to what Washington was throwing at them, and they were just getting Washington off the field based off their pure talent, and that's the Brian Burns, on Thibodeau's, Dexter Lawrence's, and well, not as much in this game, and then obviously Abdul Carter.
Yeah, and there's stats that back that up that I was just trying to find, but this was on Abdul Carter. Abdul Carter had, where is this? Abdul Carter had 3 pressures on just 25 pass rushes. That's 12% pressure rate. That's really freaking good. And 2 of those pressures were under 2.5 seconds. Brian Burns had the fastest sack by any player in the NFL in week 1. He had an over 8% pressure percentage. Kayvon Thibodeau, who we said had a steady drumbeat, good offseason, looked good today. Kayvon Thibodeau had an 8% pressure rate. Those 3 played great. At the same time, though, Nick, I look at it and they didn't play all that many snaps. Kayvon Thibodeau played the most with 52 of 70, but Dex was only on the field for 49, Burns 47. And then here's the weirdest one. Abdul Carter played only 38 snaps, despite the success I talked about. He played 65% of the snaps in the first half and just 41% in the second half. I don't really understand.
It was a competitive game, too.
Yeah, I just don't really quite understand what Bowen thought process is there, but he got 32 snaps for Raheem Nunez-Roches, who sucks, and he got 15 snaps for David Davidson. Golston, I didn't think looked good. He had 1 really bad run. I thought he should have contained on a run play, and he didn't. He had 11 snaps, but ultimately, like, we got pressure from our guys today, and we made key plays with them at points. But when your run defense is as bad as it was, as we went over that success rate, and when Shane Bowen, I think it's kind of just as simple as you say, dude. Like, and we'll see it on tape, but there's just too many times where they're dropping with too high, and there's these huge voids and for this passing. Like, this has been the case since Bowen got here.
Yeah. The intermediate in the middle of the field, and it's tough when you play against Washington, right? Because Washington will hit you with the bubbles outside and then force you to rally. And I just think whenever the Giants did like country, like spot drop zone, like not like a match type of defense, there's just the spatial awareness and the ability and the route concepts, all of those things collectively, Washington had check mark, and the Giants.
Why is that the case? Why are we always so poor spatial awareness wise in the defense side of the ball?
I think the Giants are worrying about a lot because they can't really fit the run. I think the Giants aren't as well coached as other football teams. I think there's a lot that goes into it. I think it's the structure of the New York Giants defense as well. It's a different type of structure than we're used to seeing. So, I mean, again, we'll substantiate a lot of this on the tape, or at least attempt to. But I mean, we've been pretty big critics of Shane Bowen since the Giants hired him, and the Giants didn't even. He was probably like the 3rd or 4th choice for the Giants that year. Like, the Giants didn't hire him for a while, if we remember.
Right.
And like week 1, week 2, we were like, oh, gee, I don't know about this. And then all season, we were kind of like, this is rough, but the entire team was rough. And again, here we are, week 1, the entire team is still rough. But, you know, I look at this defense and I'm like, if there's anything talented on this team, we know it's players on the defensive side. And there are a lot of young players on the defensive side who didn't look talented. And I'm starting to look at that coordinator again and be like, yo, you got to put these guys in a better positions. You got to figure out a way to stop the run. You got to set these guys up for success. And if you're not doing it, I don't think the Giants can't just fire him right now. Like, who they like, is Andre Patterson like equipped to become a defensive coordinator? Like, this is Shane Bowen's defense. We're already into the season. Like that can't be a decision that is honestly on the table unless it's just like all the relationships are burned, the bridge is burned, and you just get rid of him. And then at that point, the season's already over, usually.
Right. And we don't want to get there yet. We're still only in week 1, and we're just hoping this season won't be like all the other ones where we are saying at this time in the past couple of years, we're only at week 1. Let's not, count out the season. Then the reality is the season was over already in week 1 and all these other years. I just hope that isn't the case this year, Nick. I don't have it in me to do like that type of tape again in week 13 and 14. We'll do it, but I just don't. I need something, man. I need something on offense, especially like this. This is going to be a brutal day tomorrow watching this offensive tape again, and we thought we were past that.
We did. I'm excited to watch it, actually. Not because I want to, but I just want to identify what exactly is wrong. This is a different quarterback now. Like a lot of the, you know what I'm saying?
Fair to see what we thought we saw. That's at least something.
I'm always excited for stuff like that. And just to your earlier point, I think it will be different this year because the Giants could be a pathetic dumpster fire, but at least they have a rookie quarterback that will be fun to evaluate down the stretch of the season.
Right. That's a good point. They'll have to play him by that point. Yeah. But it's like, when it comes to Shane Bowen, just on the defense side of the ball, there's some stats. Like I saw Doug Analytics post this. Terry McLaurin was guarded by Paulson Adebo on all 4 of his targets, and he only allowed 2 catches for 27 yards. And these are like good looking stats, but I don't know if that's going to, like when we watch the tape, I don't know if that's the story I'll see. So I thought Adebo got burned on a couple reps. reps. And I feel like that could have just been a scheme thing where Washington didn't really need to go to Terry McLaurin, and they didn't really try to go to Terry McLaurin. We'll see on that front. But as far as Bowen goes, for me, the only thing that I had any hope of when the Giants hired him was that he would be able to use our safeties in a really interesting way. We didn't get any of that in this game.
And remember, during Hard Knocks, we're like, "Oh, look at his run! Look at his run!"
I was going to bring that up because you know what's that stupid scene in Hard Knocks where they're like, Shane and Dable, they literally look like idiots, and we were just like, hopefully they were just doing that for the cameras. I don't think they were, dude, and that's the scary part. I might need to rewatch that scene. I think it's on HBO, and I have HBO. I'm going to rewatch that scene and get back to you before a podcast, Nick, and the listeners. When that scene was like Dable and Shane in the office, like Shane Bowen's run defense was third. Like, do you like this? Like, he's like, all right, give him a call. Let's make the hire. Like, that was one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. So I just hope that was like for the cameras, I guess. I don't know, man.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, bro. We're going to get the supers here soon, but do we have anything else on the defense?
Let's do supers. The rest of we're still going to cover a lot more.
I'll be right back. So I'll be back in like 10 seconds.
Yeah, all good. I'll filibuster. We're going to cover a lot more. And that'll be for those who are new to the show on tomorrow's show, which is a film review of the offense and defense. And we'll get to a lot of stuff there, but let's get to some supers for now.
I see there's a piece of my poop emojis back there. That's representative of the Giants right there. You see that in the back.
Offense for sure.
I think the team, but not Brian Burns, not Kayvon, and not Abdul Carr.
By Phil, but I don't know if we'd ever do it. I can't start chats in this thing. I got to get
John Gruden. Oh, talking about John Gruden.
Oh, I would like John Gruden. I think John Gruden's a great coach.
Oh, yeah. And dude, he'd be so fun for the media too.
And he loves Dart.
He does love Dart. He would be motivated to come to this dumpster fire.
That's what I'm saying. He'd be motivated to come coach Dart. It's actually a great idea. Who said that? This is a phenomenal idea. Philip Scabana. I'm going to steal that or credit you when I do, because this is a great idea. And I'm now kind of all in on this as that this is my top option at this point because he likes Dart.
Yes, he does. Michael Salome. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that. Watching Indiana Jones make history with the Colts, death the worst part of all this. I would disagree. He can make history all he wants. The worst part
of this is what we have to go through as fans and watching our team.
Yeah, our crappy team remain crappy. Kyle, but thank you for the super. Kyle Kilday, thank you for the super chat as well. Once there's tape of him in this scheme, he'll return to who he is. But it's notable the difference in how his new team had him prepared. What are Dable and company doing?
Jones, I guess.
He's talking about Jones. Russ also looked rattled. Yes. And I agree with that, Kyle.
Why are we so unprepared for week one? Great point, Kyle. Every year. Except for the Tennessee game, which wasn't even against a good team. It ultimately did.
We took if I'm not mistaken, we were down like, I don't remember the exact score. But we were down big in that. It was a second half comeback though.
And they missed a chip shot field goal, basically a 42-yarder to lose that game. They should have won that game, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Ronald, thank you so much. Appreciate the magnets. We did it.
Yeah, we added a magnet today. You see that one? The new one, Nick?
I can't read it though, man.
Hopefully some of the listeners can read it. I think some will appreciate it.
That's far away. You talking about the blue one, right?
The blue one. That's the new one. Yeah, it's hard to read. Maybe they won't be able to read it.
I can't read it at all. Yeah.
It says, what a long, strange trip it's been. Unfortunately, it hasn't been that for the Giants. It's been a long, nightmarish trip.
Yes. Nightmarish would be a more
actually tripping would be good at this point. So I just need some kind of different frame of mind. But
tripping would be amazing. Just
to get my mind off of this. Yeah,
get your dispense of all of the bad vibes and bad energy that surround this New York Giants team. Marcus Creed, thank you so much. My biggest issue with this team is when they lose, it looks like they put up no resistance whatsoever. They repeatedly find ways to embarrass us. Couldn't agree more, Marcus Creed. And the craziest part about this is this was a competitive game till like late in the fourth quarter.
Right.
It shouldn't have been at all. But the Giants, if they did what Buffalo did, if they just found a way to generate offense, they would have been able to put themselves in a position to win. It wouldn't have just been like, at least they moved the football at the end of the game. No, the defense kept them that close. The defense and Washington also, I would say, shooting themselves in the foot. But it seemed so bleak, though, despite the score.
Yeah.
The Dan Abides 10. Thank you so much. Starting 0-2 for the 7th time in 9 years. Yeah.
They could still win. They could still win.
More than likely. But yes,
I don't think it's more than likely. Maybe this was
more than likely, that would mean that the Giants have more than a 50% chance to win the game, which they do not. I don't think.
Before this week, which is crazy, The Giants are only 3-point underdogs to the Cowboys. I think I saw 3 or 3.5.
What are they now? What was
I
that? Was that after Thursday Night Football though? That after like they looked as good as
No,
they
that
did?
was before the Cowboys looked good. So it's like with the expectation the Cowboys were going to be bad and the Giants were going to be good.
Better.
Now let's see what it is. I'm curious. It still says 3.5, but that can't be right. This is AI. This is why you can't use it. They open as 3.5 point favorites, the Cowboys. I bet that's going to move all the way up to like 5.
I would imagine it's worse than that, but who knows?
Yeah.
Clarence, thank you. We need a priest or a shaman to come in and cleanse the facilities at this point. DJ having the best game of his career. We're just cursed.
Yeah. I mean,
it does. Yeah. I mean, that was like my point.
It's crazy that he had the best game of his career without the Giants.
That's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring up Daniel Jones. And initially when I did is because there does seem to be like, do you remember last year? Like I felt like the Giants were cursed. It was like, of course, Saquon Barkley is going to sign with the Philadelphia Eagles and then have a career year and then win a Super Bowl. Like, of course that is going to happen. Like every decision that Joe Schoen made, it's the wrong decision. It seems like, right? Like it's just cascading bad decisions. And it just seemed like anything the Giants did, it was going to be wrong.
Yeah.
And now this happens too. And it's like, oh, it's a continuation from 2024, not just because of the inept product on the football field and the lack of offensive firepower, but because players who leave the Giants end up going out and balling. Now, again, I'm not saying that's what Daniel Jones is going to be all this season, but it was today, reminiscent of last year.
Yeah.
Kyle, thank you so much again. Starting to think that keeping Shane and fully turning over our coaching staff wouldn't be a disaster like we thought at the end of the last season.
I don't feel that way, Kyle. I feel like Shane deserves to go in some ways as much as Dable. When you do what you did with Joe Schoen and you miss as bad as he missed with Neal, with JMS, and with Hyatt, and then provide no competition for them when we have nothing right now. We have nothing at receiver or O-line because we use those assets there. That's a fireable offense for me. Remember, like even the 2024 class, which is vaunted, Nick, we're picking at the top 6 every draft. What did I used to kill Gettleman for, you and I? Like, oh, it's a great draft, but he's found some talent, but he's picking in the top 5 or 6. That's bullshit. He needs to do a lot better with what he has, Joe Schoen.
Yeah, 100%. And again, like the 2022 and 2023 class, when you look at anything past the second round, like what are we really talking about? Micah McFadden?
Right.
Like
and
that's
then
kind
Tracy,
of it. And then Daniel Bellinger, but they don't even like use him that
they
much.
Don't use Bellinger, but he is good when he gets the ball. But the Tracy, like it's a running back. Like people have running backs in the late rounds all the time. I'm not going to give him credit for that. DJ Giddens looked great today. He was a 5th round pick. Like you can find running back talent anywhere in the draft.
I agree with that. I would say I don't like weighing too much into the 2024 class quite yet. It's still
I don't either.
New.
Oh, Banks is another one. Good point, Roz. What about Banks? That's another this guy's not even on the field.
How did we not even bring him up?
Yeah. It's another miss.
Idiots we are. Yeah, no, that was a massive miss. Speaking, terrible. Dustin Bollock, thank you. Do you think the Colts will take a 3rd round pick for their quarterback who's anticipation, arm angles, talent, and stuff today?
Nice trolling. Yeah, that's good for you, Dustin. Take your victory lap. Enjoy, buddy.
That's I mean, he could just be messing around too, but rage bait right there for sure.
Yeah, he's taking his victory lap. It's always good to take a victory lap after week 1. That's never gone wrong.
My guy Tuto, what's going on? He said massive salutes and respects to Big Nick and Dan and all diehard Giant fans across the pond in America.
Love Tuto. He's back.
He's the man. Greetings from our entire rugby club in Italy. Damn,
you look like the type of guy, Nick, who would get into rugby. Am I right?
Yeah, I would, but like now
I'm not a rugby guy.
In my 30s, dude. Like I'm just scared. Like,
that's what I'm saying. I don't want to
tearing my stuff up. No, well, it's like it's like seriously. Like in my 20s, I played like full on like tackle football, like no pads. Like it was very physical, and I really enjoyed it. That was damn good too. But now that I'm in my 30s and I don't really have insurance or anything, I'm like I can't really do that. I just got the VA. The Dan Abides 10. Thank you so much. Did we already see Dan flip his lid and it's only week 1?
What do you expect this is unbelievably bad?
Yeah, no, man, it's tough. Kyle, thank you so much again. It says, drives me crazy how Dable insists on calling timeouts when the game is over. What?
Yeah.
Who is that for? If I were a player, that would piss me right off. Stand here and watch us suck unnecessarily for an extra 5 minutes.
He wants to have these moral victories at the end of games to make the scores look closer than they are. And he claims it's to get something going for the offense that you can carry over to next week. But that's bullshit because the defense isn't playing the same way they would when it actually matters in the game. So it's actually just total crap by Dable, and it's just his way of making the game look closer.
It's one of those like football things, those old like
Yeah.
school football things. Tuto, thank you so much again. Said, well said, lads. Giants issues, bad coaching, mate. Nothing's wrong with rosters, mate. As an active player, POV, O-line was non-existent all day. Weak and lame.
Yeah.
Couldn't
Yeah,
agree
you're right.
more.
To me, the biggest problem in this game was the O-line, so I agree with you.
Yeah, man. Ronald, thank you so much again. Every quarterback who plays here, even Tyrod, is completely unsettled. Never seen such a cadre of different quarterbacks all look the same behind our line. I think it's extended from. I think the line is a big problem. It's a symptom of what could be the actual disease, if we're going to be honest, which is the people running the show. But your point is well taken, Ronald. Thank you.
Right.
The Dan abides. Thank you so much again. Can we just stop throwing the ball at or behind the line of scrimmage? And that means screens too. Our offensive line
We
sucks.
didn't even run a screen today, did we?
I think we tried one, like a little like
remember.
quick one to Wandale underneath.
Oh, to Wandale. Yeah. I mean, like the
Yeah.
tight end running back screens that we saw in the preseason that were working. We didn't get any of that going.
Now the offensive line seems so rattled, and something tells me that all the success that we saw during the preseason, it's going to stay in the preseason from a screen game perspective.
Bullshit they're playing against. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just the Giants were so out of sync from a timing standpoint. It was crazy. Jake Andrews, thank you so much. Says it's the coach. Change the pieces, and it's the same result. Guys come here and get worse. Guys leave here and get better. Rookies don't grow. It's Dave's.
Yeah.
Hard to
it's
argue against that.
Yep.
Oh wow.
Especially like it really is though, dude, because we talked about it already. We don't need to say it again.
Yeah, no, it's certainly very frustrating. Matt Lorenz, thank you so much. What if putting a quarterback in too soon isn't based on truth? What if the quarterback will be successful anyways? It's not like there is ever a control.
I know what you're saying, Matt. I feel like I tend to lean more toward your direction here than other people do. But I think there is a too soon if the offensive line is playing as bad as it played today, because that could just destroy a quarterback's mental clock and have him playing a different style of football than he needs to play. Now, it's not always like the Washington offense wasn't expected to have a good offensive line last year, and they took a major jump last year, which, by the way, is also ironic because they had the offensive line coach who we said was the real problem for us here, right? And then, so the whole thing is ironic, but part of that is also Jaden Daniels' ability to negate a pass rush. And make an offensive line look better than it is.
I mean, he just makes it so hard on the defense.
Yeah.
He's Lamar-esque when it comes to running.
Yep.
And he's so intelligent, so smart at finding that path, and also like not taking big hits, which was he was terrible at LSU. He took massive hits.
I know he's really improved. The areas of his game that he took a jump on from LSU to here to the NFL is crazy. You would expect the opposite, usually a regression playing against NFL competition. He got better in all the areas he needed to improve. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. He is.
Should have been our quarterback. He literally should have been our quarterback.
I know. JCNYC, thank you so much. Says, looks like Aaron Rodgers scouted our team better than our scouts. Bad line. If we lose to Dallas, we might see Dart. Better pocket mobility plus agility.
If Andrew Thomas is playing fine, I'm open to it. If Thomas isn't playing, I don't want to put Dart behind James Hudson.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. A lot of it's stuff that we won't know on the outside. But if Dable actually thinks like, I can trust Dart. Because right now it's just like, hey, we promised Russ this spot. Let's see how it goes. And if it doesn't go well through 2 weeks, if he does trust Dart to be ready, and he loves this kid, I could see him making that move. I would argue that Jameis is a good bridge to Dart, depending on the situations and the circumstances that we've already discussed. But I mean, I wouldn't flip my lid over it if the Giants score 6 points next week. I don't want to watch that offense again. I've been watching it for like 6 years.
Right. Agreed.
Gregory, thank you so much. Chimente, this team deserves to be cursed at. This offense is unacceptable. Fix the damn offense already. How many more years? Right there with you, Greg. Right there, buddy. And then he comes back too. Thank you so much, Greg. Again, says, if Dart plays well, should we keep Dable? Regardless, I never liked Dable as a coach since the Adoree kick return injury. That was a rough one. That was one of our first big criticisms of Brian Dable. Remember that? Yeah.
Yep.
Dable is always unprepared, and I'm tired of it. Yeah.
They do seem unprepared. There's also like weird issues. He gets into it with Neighbors on the sideline. Now, I am not a big fan of Neighbors' body language this entire game, to be honest. it's a boomer take of mine, Nick. But as I
I
get
love that you
older,
acknowledge that. Yeah.
it is, as I know a lot of people will be not happy with that take of mine and really strongly disagree. But I didn't like anything I saw from Neighbors today from a body language standpoint. And I get it. It's annoying. It's frustrating for him to play in an offense like this. But like the shit with Dable, I didn't like at all from him. And then I didn't like another thing. They had another moment like that. But also at the same time, Dable shouldn't be getting it into it with his players like he does.
That's his personality.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I don't really overreact to stuff like that. But when it happens consistently and the team really sucks, that's when I'm like, all right, this isn't healthy. I think like a toxic argument, like a Phil Simms, Bill Parcells type of situation,
right.
That's fine, right?
Agreed.
But like if this is happening, it's week 3, Giants like it's like, oh geez, at this point. And then Neighbor starts making some, questionable comments to the media about, I don't know what's going on with the offense.
I don't even care about the comments. I just want the on-field body language.
I know what you're talking about. I'm not saying Neighbors did anything wrong. I don't mind the arguing, but I do understand what you are saying though too, because you want better, more positive body language and not just visibly overly frustrated.
Yeah.
And again, everyone's going to be frustrated. And I think there's a way that you handle that as a professional athlete.
Sure.
And you're saying that maybe like the way Malik handled it.
And I don't want to get on this path. Like I basically take it all back. I just didn't love anything from that standpoint with either of them today.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough with Dable. Dable's been at the throat of his defensive coordinator, his positional coach. There's been a lot of issues from a management perspective.
Probably not a good coach. Like he's probably just a bad guy. We went over it and he probably should have been fired last year. He just wasn't.
Yeah. Now he gets another year. Let's see it. Jones looked different for Indy. Feet, pocket, touch, deep trajectory, big plays outside numbers today. Throws he didn't attempt here. Every player who leaves. Yeah. Is that the coaching? Yeah, Ronald. I didn't get to watch much of Jones. I don't know if you did. So
I watched just the highlights. Yeah.
I'll probably peer at the all 22 whenever I get some time just to see. I will be curious, but hey man, he balled out. Good for him.
Yeah, good for him. And if he balls out against Denver next week, then you're onto something. And it's crazy.
Jake Andrews, thank you so much. Don't buy it with the defense. They played good enough to lose. Giants scored 21 points. This D would have given up 28. Washington got whatever they wanted, especially with those high leverage spots, man. Or not even high leverage, those advantageous spots. I'm sorry, I misspoke. When the Giants put themselves into advantageous positions, they failed. Like that's the crazy point. Like they would force a negative play and then they would fail terribly. Right. It's so frustrating. Thank you so much, Original Recipe Dan. I appreciate the donation. Thirst Hat, though, thank you so much. Hey, guys, I'm a longtime listener on Spotify and don't make the streams often. You guys do a great job covering the team. When does the pain stop?
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much for the kind words. And I don't know when the pain stops.
We thought it was going to be this year.
Yes, we were wrong, possibly, at least so far. Dan Abides, thank you so much. How many GMs and coaches does it take to get a good offensive line? How long has it been? 15 years? It's been a while. It has.
And then so long. It's crazy how long this is taking for them to build a decent offensive line.
I hope we win a game this year. I hear that tends to happen after coaching change. Thank you, Dan Abide. Thank you. Nikki Frat, what's going on? Thanks. Today made me so sick. They got me again. Unreal. Love the channel, by the way. Thanks, guys. We are in this together. I like
Thank you, Nikki.
See, my name, he's Nikki Frat. I'm Nikki Filato, right? And he took like the Yankee symbol and made an NF. How do you feel about that?
That is cool. That is cool. I like that.
I can't steal that now, but
you can't steal that now, but it would have been a good idea for you to get there first.
Yeah, Nikki Frat, great job on that.
You got there at the same time as you, if not slightly before you. Do you know what that's from?
No, what is that from?
It's from a very dumb comedy that I think is actually incredibly funny. MacGruber.
Oh, I haven't seen it. No, you've mentioned it to me before, though.
Yeah, it's actually crazy funny.
Is it a 80s movie, 90s movie?
No, it's a newer movie. It's late mid to 2010s. It's Will Forte. I don't know if you like his humor.
I'm gonna look him up after. You want to read this? You read this. I'm looking up Will Forte. This is where we're at in this show.
Yeah. Okay. So we are at the point in the show where Dan Abides asks, "Is Russ cooked? Or if Russ is cooked, then isn't that also a mark on Dable since he started him? And if Russ is cooked but looked better than Winston, then that's a mark on Shane. Either way, these guys need to go." Yeah.
Yeah, man. I agree with Dan Abides. It's tough. Rene Ruiz, thank you so much. Looking past offensive line for a second, is Dable's scheme just too complicated to run if you don't have a top end quarterback managing it correctly? Players have changed, but results are roughly the same since he's been here. Yeah, I don't know. I'm like,
Interesting question, right? Because like, why does everything look so hard for every quarterback that plays in it here?
I don't know, man, because I have to imagine Russell Wilson has like the comprehension of this offense
Yeah.
down. But again, like, can you, and this was a Daniel Jones struggle as well. Can you take the comprehension and then apply it to the field once the bullets are flying? That remains to be a question mark that we haven't seen a quarterback do under Dable as the Giants head coach for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
Daniel Downing, thank you so much, Dan. Perfect intro. Groundhog Day is how it felt watching this offense today. The offensive line looked in mid-season form today. Yes, they did.
Crazy how bad this offense. Crazy how bad the offensive line played in week 1, and how long it's taken us to move to an even mediocre offensive line, let alone a good one.
Yeah, I feel like we were a mediocre offensive line last year
until the Thomas injury.
I think we were a mediocre offensive line with the Thomas injury last year.
I don't think so. I think we were still below average a little bit.
I mean, below average is mediocre. It's not abysmal.
Yeah.
Like, I would say, like, again, I'm not watching the all 22 of all the other teams, but if you were to say, Nick, where do you think the Giants offensive line finished last year? I'd have probably said like 27th, 26th or something like that. That's below average for sure. It's mediocre, but I think they were worse.
We just have a different definition of mediocre then.
What's your definition of mediocre?
Like 16th.
No, that's average.
That's mediocre is average to me.
I don't think you know what mediocre means.
What does mediocre mean? I thought mediocre, let's see, definition. I am curious what mediocre means. Only of moderate quality, not very good. Oh, you're right. I guess that is mediocre.
Yeah.
We were mediocre last year. So we weren't even mediocre today.
No, we were bottom of the barrel.
I just learned what mediocre meant. Nice.
Bottom of the we were bottom of the barrel today. I'd be hard pressed to find another offensive line that performed as poorly as the Giants, other than maybe Miami. Just and again,
Miami, probably we didn't watch that game, but probably Miami.
All I know is every time I had red zone,
offensive line got ripped too.
Yeah, but they were playing Denver too.
Denver,
Denver is a powerhouse. Zach Allen I'm so happy Zach Allen's so good at football, man. That kid deserves
Benito too, who we loved in the draft.
Yeah, he just signed a massive deal too.
Yeah,
that edge market is so annoying right now for when the Giants want to sign Kayvon. Because Nick Benito is making like insane money right now.
Yep.
Kayvon's gonna have his agent's gonna have an actual point to be like, why the hell is this guy getting paid this? What about my guy? My guy has more tackles, plays blah, blah, blah. And it's like,
right.
Crap. That's not great. But that's what you can do when you're a team who has a rookie quarterback on a rookie contract.
Right.
You can pay more niche players. He's a good football player.
Not look good at all today.
Bo?
I watched that game. He looked terrible. They're 2 terrible interceptions.
Bo Nix, what are you doing, man? Come on.
But they won the game, though. Their defense is so good.
Yeah. Bird67, thank you so much. Dable never has his team ready for
Yeah, it's insane. We're 100%. Never ready for these first games. It's horrible. This guy, his resume sucks, really.
His resume is not good. Yes. Gianelli, thank you so much. Says, what is it about our training camps that we always come out so unprepared? That's a common theme.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I wish we did know. I think part of it is personnel issue, too.
I mean, it is, but at the same time, like the Giants and under Dable, they've changed their approach through training camp each season.
So many times, right?
So many, like in 2023, after the 2022 year, in 2023, their training camp was so relaxed, and they got punched in the mouth by Dallas. And last year was a little bit more upbeat. This year it was kind of like around the same, not too extensive though. They always are injury cautious.
And they changed their preseason plan too, Nick. This year they played their starters a lot more in the preseason. That didn't do anything for us.
No, it didn't.
By the way, the Bengals did too. And the Bengals were like, we want to knock off the rust. We played our guys in the preseason. Their offense sucked today. So I don't think that means I just have to bookmark this for next year. I'm going to have to be really cautious with anything that happens in the preseason.
Yeah. I mean, after the Giants scored 40, 30, and 30.
Yeah.
Yeah. And especially when it comes to this team, especially if Dable's still in charge. Nick, thank you, Tudo, by the way. Nick, you said it perfectly. Giants issues are organizational. Players ain't coached and developed properly during offseason. They seem lost and confused. They did. They did. Tuto, you're the man. I appreciate you. And then this is our last super chat. Daniel Downing, thank you so much. When's the soonest you could see Dable and Shane getting fired?
I don't think Mara's going to do it in season.
I don't think so either. I mean, if it's this all throughout, maybe, but I think Mara has a really good relationship with both Brian Dable and Joe Shane, and that's one of the reasons why they were retained. Yeah, I mean, if it can't be this bad for another 16 games, knock on some wood, hopefully not. But yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. We'll see, though. Steve Ellison, thank you so much for the super. He just slipped one in here. Even our punts look terrible. Yeah, the Scottish hammer was not hammering the ball at all. He looked like the Scottish pool noodle.
Yeah. Well, he had one good punt that we just our coverage team just didn't get down there for. It was really disappointing. Or maybe that wasn't a good punt. Didn't have enough hang time. I don't know. What do you think?
I would have to watch it again.
Yeah,
I don't think he played well today.
Yeah, his other punts were terrible.
And then another one, Lion Pack Productions, thank you so much, says, is there any in-house scout who has been there for years that are evaluating offensive line? Could that be the reason we've had such low quality offensive line play these past 10?
Maybe.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Look, no, they don't have an offensive line specific scout. Like these guys are all assigned to different regions, and they go out and they have players, and then they all discuss the players. They cross watch people as well. And then Joe Shane would also watch these players.
Yes. And it's ultimately his decision, Joe Shane's.
It is ultimately his decision. And they also have, the director of scouting and everything. And some of those guys are related to people who might or might not own the New York Giants. So there's a lot of people like that in the Giants personnel that get chastised during these times. But again, man, I watched John Michael Schmitz in college, and I'll put egg on my face. He has not worked out. Again, some of the issues that he had at Minnesota, they didn't grow. If anything, they were massively exploited beyond my comprehension at the time. But I thought that he would be a stabilizing factor from a mental perspective, and I wasn't thrilled with his athletic ability or his ability to handle power, but I thought that it wouldn't be as glaring in the NFL. I didn't think it would be as exploited. I thought he could be functional enough just based off his technique and his positioning. Not true. And I'll take the egg on my face. He's been one of the stone worst starting centers in the National Football League. And I could say that without watching the All-22 yet. And you guys know how I am with that, but I saw him getting pushed back. Yeah. Into the pocket, into Russell Wilson's lap. How many freaking times by
that's just in pass protection
by Daron Payne, and those are good. I'm not gonna say that about Kinlaw. Daron Payne is a good football player, but he's not Dexter Lawrence,
And right, and that's just in pass protection. How about in the run game where we never get anything from him?
Yeah, exactly, man. So he's been a massive,
sometimes at the second level we get. I just mean at the point of attack.
Yeah, he's been a massive disappointment, man. But back to the question just about the Giants and the Scouts. I'm not going to blame that solely on the Scouts. Again, I think like Tuto brought up, this is organizational, so everybody deserves and it should absorb some sort of blame. But I'm not going to identify one scout and say that it's their fault for mismanaging maybe their evaluations on certain players.
Yeah, I also think at some point, if the offensive line continues to play this bad, they just have to put in Marcus Bowe.
We also have Philip brings up a good point. Chris Snee is in the building now too.
Now he is, yeah. And then maybe if Bowe hits, that's a sign of maybe good things to come.
But even that, I'm not trying to devalue Snee at all. I'm sure he's very valuable to the process.
Yeah.
But Bowe fell to the 5th round. The Giants wanted to take him when they took Scadaboo. They would have took if Scadaboo wasn't there. That's one thing we could bring up before we get out of here. Scadaboo, at least.
That's a good positive. He looked good.
Yeah, so he didn't really receive too much work, but the pass protection was an excellent rep against a linebacker. And then the one run he ran right into Marcus Bowe's face, and I was like, oh, good. But they brought Bowe in as the big offensive lineman on the goal line. But there was one play. It might have been was it a catch over the middle?
It was a catch where he had 2 broken tackles.
Damn, Dan, you okay?
Yeah, it's 1:30, bro.
Yeah, we'll get out of here then. But yeah, those 2 broken tackles, you saw how low he got and his knees weren't touching the ground. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, exactly.
So bad.
I also thought he looked a little bit more spry than he did in his preseason action. Yeah.
I agree.
Which I was happy about because I thought he might be playing through an injury. And now I kind of think he's almost fully healthy.
Yeah, man. It's nuts, dude. But yeah, terrible performance by the New York Giants. Let's turn the page to week 2.
Hopefully it's better in week 2. Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. Please hit the like button. Please leave a comment. Join us tomorrow for the film review where you can commiserate more and we can actually kind of see on tape what went wrong. Have a great rest of your night. We'll talk to you soon.